Hello, how's everybody doing? So I'm here to kind of make a video about the movie Prey. So I've been asked, am I going to go ahead and do a review on Prey, kind of like how I've done with my other Alien Predator movies and even the ongoing Godzilla series? And my big thing is, I'm kind of yes and no. This is going to be a little different. This is going to be more of a let's talk. I'm not going to go ahead and just record footage of the movie quite yet, due to the fact this movie is still relatively new. And if I do show any footage, I might just take it from the actual trailer. But as far as anything that's in the actual movie, and just doing like I usually do, I just don't. I'm not really feeling that idea right now. I do want to say, if you have not seen this movie, go watch it. I mean, there's going to be a few spoilers, certain things I'm going to talk about in this review, or let's talk. Yeah, so I'm just saying, if you haven't exited at this point, go ahead and exit. I will say, I'm absolutely feeling Prey for starts. This is a movie I'm really proud to see part of the Alien Predator universe. I don't know, who knows how we'll feel maybe in a year's time, and that could change, obviously. Even 5 years. There's been movies I've talked about in my reviews of the Alien and Predator movies that I've said good things about, and then for that later, maybe I kind of took that back because I kind of realized some of their flaws. And there's been some movies I underappreciated when they came out, like Alien vs. Predator 2004, which was a movie I wasn't that hot on when it came out. Years later, I see its flaws, definitely, but there's something that I appreciate about it. That said, though, we're going to go ahead and talk about the first thoughts. Alright, so one thing I got to bring up that I've really been thinking about is the battle sequences in this movie. They've been done really well, like, actually was, like, convincing to me watching humans end up fighting the Predator. And this is something I've always felt in past movies, that there's been a lot of untapped potential due to the fact that in other movies, say like Predator 1, we had Billy, Predator 2, we had King Willie, and there was kind of a fight scene, but the thing was, those movies is they made sure to kind of cut away, and it's probably because of the fact they wanted to add a little bit of mystique of not knowing how he was butchered or killed. And overall, though, also I want to say that was kind of an 80s and 90s approach. I mean, you didn't watch, say, like Predator or Alien and watch like these big action sequences. A lot of it was kept to a minimal when it showed you the actual creature, because they were trying to create some mystique for the creature in the movie. Nowadays, a lot of that is gone. I mean, we have like 6 or 7 Predator movies, and we've seen so much of the Predator. We know the behavior patterns, so it's kind of hard to do that. So I feel like now also with modern movies and the way we can shoot movies, we can do things a little different than what we did in the 80s and 90s. And this one really took it up a notch with the battle sequences. Even though every human is pretty well being bodied in this movie, it was something that I watched and I thought, whoa, this Predator is just brutal. Like, we have not seen a Predator this brutal on screen. Half the time, they're doing the job, they're killing people, but it's not to the extent of what the feral Predator is doing. And I gotta say that it just blew me away watching this and how it was executed. And it made this character feel distinctive and different from the other Predators that we've seen on screen. That's another thing that some of the other movies have kind of struggled with. For example, Predators 2018, I felt like it was really hard to develop a distinctive personality for the Predator that was actually likable. I mean, yeah, it was a cool design in the movie. I mean, fugitive scenes were cool in Predator 2018, but I mean, really though, he's not a standout Predator. I mean, even Wolf, even Scar, all those Predators are severely distinctive when you're building an entire movie around them, and they're pretty well developed throughout the entire movie. Unfortunately for the fugitive Predator, he didn't really last maybe like even an hour into the movie before he was killed off, which was also an issue I had with that movie. But that's a completely another subject. I butchered that movie in a separate review you can go check out. My first viewing in this movie, there were certain things I kind of overlooked or didn't think much of until later on. One of them in particular would have to be the wolf when it was hunting the rabbit, and then of course after that you had the battle scene between the wolf and the feral Predator. And to me, this kind of became key, especially when you had Naru, who's getting chased by the bear later on, when she was doing her hunting, trying to find what she was trying to convince her tribe was out there. Obviously, she thought it was a bear at one point, and then after that, eventually met the actual creature that was actually doing the hunting. I thought it was interesting because the Predator actually sees her as no more than the rabbit, for example. He has no interest in the rabbit. Obviously, when he was hunting the wolf, he wanted the superior creature. He was after the wolf, and then after that, he took after the bear, which was giving chase after Naru. So that's one thing that I really didn't put much thought into later on until I went back and actually watched this a second time. So I thought that was kind of cool, and this actually makes the title of the movie, Prey, mean a little bit more due to the fact that it would be the prey that would end up being the downfall of the actual Predator due to the fact that he never took her serious. Nobody in the movie at any certain point really takes her serious, despite the fact that she is trying to prove herself. And I did like also the fact that the feral Predator was also kind of weakened down by her and her brother in the battle sequence. That also made sure to show that the feral Predator would not be an easy pushover. By this point, though, she was also beginning to study the Predator and noticed that his mask was very key in creating the projectile for his weaponry to follow, and that became a big thing for her to end up stealing the mask and would tie into the end when she would go ahead and create a trap. That trap was obviously something that she fell into earlier in the movie, and it just comes full circle, and then after that, it's what happens, and the Predator gets caught in it, and then after that, the Predator ends up getting killed by his own weaponry, which is probably the only way that realistically she could have killed him, basically use his weapons against him. One of Naru's biggest traits that she has in this movie is her actual tracking ability. As far as the overall hunter, though, she is still growing, and she's trying to prove herself despite the fact that nobody takes her seriously, whether it's her peers or the Predator itself. But that is one of the big things about this movie that really sticks out overall, is we add on that little extra incentive of a character that's trying to prove themselves worthy. Because I kind of think to myself, okay, how do you take, the original one and into storylines and kind of keep it in line, but also kind of deviate to something new? And having a character that's attempting to prove themselves is kind of interesting. I was intrigued by the idea of setting this movie in 1719. That was something that I saw and I was really happy about early on, due to the fact I wanted to see a Predator movie set at another time in history before the first one for years, and to see it happen was just big. And why not Comanche? I mean, Comanche, if you know anything about them, they were terrific horseback riders. They were some of the most notable hunters and warriors. So I feel like centralizing it around the Comanche tribe was absolutely perfect and well done, and I couldn't have asked for it any other way. So and also I do want to see this movie because of the fact that it has this setting in 1719. The overall just environment in this movie is just beautiful. So because of that, you kind of had a chance to have more of that just pure nature. And I can't help but say I love it enough when I look at the actual nature shots. I gotta mention also the flintlock pistol that was seen in Predator 2 does appear in this movie. And I do want to say it was great seeing the flintlock pistol, but at the same time, this is probably one of the little negative I want to point out, due to the fact that I'm a little worried that this is kind of a fan service rather than an actual approached angle that's going to be a big part of the sequel, because there's still the question of how does the elder Predator from the Lost Tribe in Predator 2 obtain this handgun, because obviously by this point it's just something that Naru ends up getting a hold of, and then for that she uses it to shoot out the Pharaoh's mask. But how do we get this next tribe of Predators to tie in? This is my question. Now there's a whole comic book series written around this, and unfortunately, for anybody that's a fan of that, it's probably going to be just not canon in this universe, so that kind of sucks right there, but it doesn't mean that we could remedy things in a future Predator movie. I'm just hoping that Disney or 20th Century Fox doesn't let this movie go to their head. I was talking to a friend the other day, and one worry that I have is I'm a little concerned that this movie could potentially let it just go to their head and they'll be like, okay, let's make a more high-budget Predator movie. But this time around, let's set it at present day. Let's say this movie hypothetically comes out in 2025. It comes out in 2025, goes to theaters, and it's just set in present time. And they decide to take the legacy character route and finally get Arnold Schwarzenegger back in a Predator movie. I really don't want to see the Predator series goes down that route. Don't get me wrong, I love Arnold, and I'd love to see him in a Predator movie again just for that fan service. But the thing is, I feel like we have a whole storyline right here, and I really want to continue Naru's story. I'd hate for the Predator series to go down the typical route that, say, like Jurassic World has gone down, with just kind of getting lost in the shuffle of having no actual storyline and introducing legacy characters. Let's not do that, because the Predator series, one thing it absolutely needs that's kind of failed to have that the Alien series has is a central character that we follow and watch evolve. Like, there's still a complete evolution we can watch for Naru. I mean, obviously she fought a young blood Predator that was not exactly the same as the other Predators that we've seen in other movies. It's also important to also mention that the Predator in this movie, the feral Predator, I should say, is actually a new variant of Predators in this movie. And this, to me, is kind of nice to know, because when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, this design is just not it. It's not it. And it's kind of growing on me due to the fact that they've said it's a new variant. And I think that's the best way to put things. I saw some fan debate to say, well, maybe it's it's early on in the Predator evolution and they haven't quite used the human DNA. And I was just kind of thinking, I'm pretty sure that was an idea that was in Predators 2018. And I do not want any of that to be added into this. I hate the fact that Prey and Predator 2018 are technically in the same universe of movies. Overall, though, I prefer the idea that this is a new variant, because I see no issue with having multiple variants of Predators. Obviously, we've seen our classic Predators, we've seen our super Predators from Predators 2010, so this is something right here that I think would just works right here. And it kind of is a reminder, it's like, say, like dinosaurs and, even humans, there's obviously different variations that have existed at certain points in history of humankind. So I'm welcome to kind of applying this idea, except the only difference is between us and the predators is for the humans, obviously our other species are extinct for us and we're pretty well the only ones left, but for the predators though, there's no reason that other species can still exist within our universe and have maintained and survived and just continue to thrive and hunt in the universe. One discussion I did also have with a friend too as well, during the trapper scene, if you notice they all speak French and none of it is really kind of translated, and I do think Hulu, hopefully they can add an update in because I'd really kind of appreciate if they go ahead and translate some of what they're saying. It does leave a little bit of, no context to the viewers about, what could possibly be happening to the viewers that don't speak French, but it's one of those things that I would like to see this be added in subtitles of what they're talking about, or I don't know, maybe this movie will get a DVD or Blu-ray release. Very unlikely, I do want to say. I do feel like, to my understanding, not a lot of these series get Blu-ray and DVD releases. Obviously, we're in an era where a lot of those physical copies are now kind of dying out. I'm just actually a little hopeful because I'd like to have a hard copy of this movie and keep it on hand in my collection. That said, if they do go ahead and add on different subtitles, I'd definitely appreciate that. Also, this movie does have the Comanche dubbing of it. I do appreciate the fact that they went ahead and added that in. That was something I was extremely excited to see. It's nothing that they had to completely go back and just reshoot scenes. I think that people would have appreciated that a little bit more, but obviously I understand how much time that would have taken to go back and shoot every scene in English, and then for that actually have them fluently speak in the Comanche. But I do like the fact that this is added in as an option. It is pretty cool, and it's something that I'm glad they didn't completely neglect. There were so many scenes that definitely just look really key, even if the CGI wasn't up to par with what we could do nowadays. Obviously, there were certain scenes, say like the wolf scene, where the CGI kind of stuck out and was kind of bad there. But here's the thing, though. I can tolerate this. Obviously, I've sat and watched years of Godzilla movies in a guy battling in a suit, so I can sit through this and tolerate it. The bear scene where the predator is just holding the bear over his head. Oh my god, that was so awesome with the blood dripping down. That is a key scene. That was probably my favorite scene in this, and just seeing that battle sequence. I just feel like entirely we're seeing the Predator on another level right here, and I just absolutely love the presentation and the angle that they're approaching it from. So I can't say enough positive about that. And it's great to see that people are actually enjoying this movie, by the way. If you're a Predator fan like me, obviously you sit back and watch years of bad or mediocre movies. Obviously AVP didn't meet the expectations like they wanted to. And AVPR, we can't really say much about that because that was the movie that kind of bombed the AVP series in general. Predators, I don't think was a bad movie. I don't think it was terrible, but it wasn't like a mega movie. Obviously, there was some kind of dialogue in that movie that kind of felt a little forced at certain points, but I still enjoyed it though. It wasn't a movie I was disappointed with. It's just kind of polarizing. And then for that, you had Predator 2018, which was more of on a high budget. And this is the sad part. Because of the fact that movie bombed so bad, I think that's part of the reason that Prey maybe went to Hulu. I feel like there's probably a reason that 20th Century Fox and Disney looked at this movie and kind of thought, okay, let's go easy. The Predator is obviously a marketable creature, but the last movie bombed so bad, and I felt like it kind of made them a little skeptic to do too much. And this was kind of testing the waters. Now, maybe that was kind of the intention from the start, because I did a little research and I found out that the early ideas of this movie had been kind of written around the time that Predator 2018 was in post-production. So obviously they were kind of looking at alternative plans, and I don't know if maybe they were considering possibly doing a TV series or just something directly for Hulu. But overall, this movie though became something of its own. I mean, in fact, it's got more life in it than Predator 2018 was. If Predator 2018 had succeeded, that movie probably would have had and launched more movies that would have followed it up. Obviously, the ending had planted the seeds for a bunch of crazy things that just never happened. Predator 2018 was just plagued with its own obvious issues due to the fact that it had to be reshot multiple times, rewritten, and that movie's just an entire mess. This movie flows good, though. That's one thing I like about it. Put aside all the controversy. Obviously, there's one controversy I've seen the people debating about the lead character in this movie. I'm not going to get into that a bunch. My thing is, I have no problem with it. It's not bothering me. I did prefer, like I said earlier on, how they went ahead and killed off the Predator due to the fact he took a lot of damage from the trappers and Naru's brother, and then eventually she ended up wisening up and defeating the Predator herself. To me, this movie was a genuine love letter to Predator fans. Now here's the deal. I do want to talk about this. If you dislike this movie, you're entitled to your own opinion. There's a reason why I haven't been sharing different reviews and that certain actors and certain people, not sharing it to my story due to the fact that I don't want to influence people into just liking this movie by default because other people are saying that's a good movie. I don't even expect you to take my opinion and turn around and say, you know what, I think you're right. I'm just throwing my 2 cents out there to kind of get my opinion out and talk about this movie because there's a lot of thoughts I have going through my head right now when I think about this movie. And for what it worked with, I don't know what kind of budget this movie had. It was definitely smaller than the last movie. Probably even smaller, a bit around the range of Predators 2010. But overall, though, what it had and what it worked with was just great. And I definitely appreciate it. I also saw this little joke, or maybe it's a meme, I do want to say, floating around that got sent to me. So it was like, this movie should be like The Bar, and, let's take like a xenomorph and set it somewhere like in the 16th or 17th century, something like that. And I do want to say that's something I don't want to see happen. Due to the fact that I feel like the xenomorph works better in the future. It's just more a mistake. I feel like there's more you can do with in the future and setting it on an unknown planet. Bringing the xenomorph to the 16th or 17th century, I'm sorry, that ain't it for me at all. I'm not feeling the idea of it. The Predator, on the other hand, though, it's different, though. There's a lot of evidence they've been hunting here for a while. And the xenomorph, yeah, I know in AVP it did introduce that the aliens were part of a... the humans were sacrificing themselves and breeding the xenomorphs. That I didn't mind. But the thing is, though, I don't want to see like something like out just crazy, just centrally a xenomorph movie where we have like literally a samurai fighting a xenomorph. That's not something I want to see. Let's just not get too carried away. I do know Disney probably someday will go ahead and make another Alien and Predator movie. Mark my words, that's going to happen. It's inevitable. Given the popularity of the MCU and with what DC is trying, even though it's kind of flopping right now, I guarantee that there is going to be some kind of shared cinematic universe that will bring the Alien and the Predator back again on screen. And it's something that's not out of the cards, obviously. Just for now, I just want them to stay separately. This movie, I appreciate it. Highly advise you go see it. If you watch this through and you have not seen it, go check it out. That's all I got to say. Hey, thank you for watching, even though you kind of got some spoilers. But like I said, see it for yourself. Go get your opinion. Love to hear from you guys. Go ahead and comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Also, Godzilla series is still ongoing. There's some more content to come, more reviews. Thanks again.